thing you did, the bad one. No. Well, it's funny at all.
It is the only thing stronger than fear.
Welcome everybody, pretty random today. I'm just working on the boat and I want to play some music, and I like the music I play so the mic's a bit high. I'm literally like breaking down the boat inside. I'm like redesigning all the lounge and stuff. So while I'm doing that, I want to put some music on, and we're going to listen to we're going to get straight into it tonight. Going to listen to a fantastic episode a guy's done about this huge Earth theory, and he's looked at a map, and it's really interesting. Really interesting. We're going to get right into it. So yeah, I have one more thing to play first. Yeah. Anyway, just a random one today. It'll only be about an hour today, maybe just over an hour. It's been raining, right, since I did the show Friday night. It's been raining down here. It's been raining for like nearly 2 days straight, and the sun's come out a couple hours ago. You know how they give us a little bit of sunshine just to end the weekend off, so you don't feel too bad. This psychology, this this world we live in. And we're gonna have a little look at. So my mic levels are okay. But yeah, we're gonna have. Why is that not live? There we go. Yeah, that should be live. So I'm just thinking whether I was actually live or not. Oh hi, right, chat's back, right. Yeah, I think we were live. So I just got spun out. There was a notification on my OBS saying that I wasn't live, but I think I was live. Howard, thanks OGB, good to let me know. Area Trans, welcome. OGB, Rachel, morning, how you doing? Good to see everybody. Right, we're going to get straight into it today. I did have one more thing. Yeah, wait there.
My dad was a toolmaker.
He was skilled as a toolmaker, highly skilled.
And your dad, I think it's right to say, was a toolmaker?
He was a toolmaker, yeah. Dad was a toolmaker. My dad was a toolmaker.
And he was a toolmaker. He was a skilled man. And it's hard work, it's skilled work.
My dad, he was a toolmaker.
My dad was a toolmaker. My dad was a toolmaker.
My daddy was a toolmaker. This is a proper site. It's like what's going on with this YouTube? This like my daddy was a toolmaker. This is coming from the Tavistock Institute. It's coming from some sort of government body anyway, I reckon. So yeah, right. So we're gonna get into it now. I'll stop talking. Enjoy the show.
Hello and welcome to a new Italian PNC video about the world beyond the ice walls. Yes, I'm back. After almost 4 months and a half of taking a break, I've restarted doing videos. I'm sorry to all of y'all that have been missing me and have not seen a video of me in a long time, but I'm back. I took a very long pause, mainly for family stuff and personal activities, but I ended up procrastinating for a bit, which is why I didn't do stuff for a bunch of months. Or at least the couple last months is when I procrastinated, before I actually needed the time. That said though, let's get into what this is, because I know a lot of you won't be from the original watchers of this series. So what are you looking at? What is this map? This is the world beyond the ice walls. Not just the world beyond the ice walls, but it's the world of the second ring beyond the ice walls. Let's do a small recap, and then we'll get into today's topics. So first of all, here is the world, as we know it at least, or at least as it's said. We have the Pacific Ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, the Indian Ocean, and all the continents of the world. On the borders of the world, we have what we call Antarctica. In fact, Antarctica is a landmass compared to the Arctic, which is not a landmass, and it's just ice. Antarctica is considered like the southern pole, but as in this projection, we can see that is the ice walls that surround the entire world. In the map of Beyond the Ice Walls, the question of what is there beyond the ice walls is answered, as you can see that there are passages that bring to beyond these ice walls and manage to let you into the circles that surround the known world, exploring multiple continents as we have seen in the later videos. We have been doing a lot of series on this topic, mainly the original one, which was mainly focused on the first ring beyond the ice walls, also known as the Atlas, this area right here, where we discovered all these continents like the moving continent of Thoth, the lands of Aten, Xenonesia, Geminia, Petacia, and so on and so forth. Then we started talking about this second ring. In fact, the world doesn't just stop there, there's even a second ring that divides the first ring from the second ring. This second ring, which is divided by the mountain ring, this entire mountain chain that divides the world, is even larger than the original ring. In fact, it hosts more continents, more landmasses, and is actually finite in space, as we can see by these entire wastes that surround the world. Well, we have looked about a lot of these places, and we have started learning about them in kind of a clockwise manner. We have discovered Polybius, Weldrum, then we have discovered these continents right here, like Awas, Azania, New Cahokia, Minerva. We talked about Xia, we talked about Abraxas, I think in the last video actually, or something like that. Jotunheimer, Peividwol, Alkeringa, Robinsonia, Asgard, the first video, Hyperborea, Valhalla, all places we talked about. And today we will be continuing our journey. So now let's stop thinking about the interruption that happened and let's continue our mission on discovering these unknown lands. So for today I will be concentrating on this northern part. We'll be discovering the continents and zones in this area. We will not be talking about the Skype caverns as I don't have much lore about them yet. I've yet to research them deeply, and although I mentioned some things I know about them, I'm not confident with my informations apart from that. So let's get right into it. First of all, we'll be doing something very near to the Sky Caverns. We'll be talking about Sequoia. So geographically wise, where is Sequoia? Sequoia is not only in the second ring, but it's actually in the top half of the second ring. It's basically one of the northernmost areas in the entirety of this entire map. So what is it? Well, it's actually quite interesting. First of all, if we zoom in the actual continent, we can see that it is made in these like little dot patterns. That is not a random thing. In fact, that is supposed to represent the forests that are parts of Sequoia. Remind yourselves that Sequoia might look small on this map, but when compared to the continents that we know of, it could be compared to almost an entire continent on the area inside of the ice walls. So what exactly is Sequoia? Well, Sequoia is a region in the second ring, beyond the ice walls, also called Akupara. In fact, the entirety of the second ring is also called Akupara, so this entire area right here. It is a region highly devoid of intelligent sapient life, where nature has remained intact in its primordial form. Because of this reason, the fauna of the place is completely different from the one of the continents inside the ice walls. Its animals resemble the great beasts of the Pleistocene, or the primal days of the world, where the Leviathan still swam in the waters of Earth, undisturbed by God. So it is a very primordial kind of place, as we can see by the absence of any devoid life forms, evolved life forms like humans, and we can see this by the simple fact of the geography that is literally just an entire forest. So when it comes to Sequoia, we will be mainly focusing on the aspects of flora and fauna. In fact, those being plants and animals, for those that don't know much about Latin, are basically the main thing that inhabit Sequoia. And these plants and animals, or flora and fauna, aren't really the ones you'd expect. In fact, we would expect that a large forest would host animals such as big apes, some sort of chimpanzee, some gorillas, some tigers, and while there's a truth to that, it's actually a bit more complicated. You see, there are some examples of the fauna and flora of Sequoia that I can make and that I researched, and these are such. First of all, we have the giant sloths, akin to those whose skeletons can be still.
This is why I love this. Wait a second. Oh, my webcam's frozen again. I need to replug it in. But this is why I just find this stuff fascinating. There's a book. Where's the book? Here we go. The book on the photo on the left of the screen. I've read half the book. I need to finish it actually, because it was so exciting. But whether it's fiction or not, I don't know. It's hard to tell. But it's a really all this stuff about like giant animals, other worlds beyond this ice wall, this Antarctica. Also the photo on the right. This weird thing on windy. I'm going to check it again now. This really rough weather, like the photo on the right. The dark purple bit is the roughest part, and it's like 10-meter waves, huge, if it's to be believed. So I don't know what. Do you know what I think they're doing? I think they're testing something. I think they're testing something from Antarctica, some sort of technology that's going to be used in a weather event upcoming. That's what I think.
Found in places like North America. Sequoia is the last place to host these large mammals with vast white eyes that have a sort of bioluminescence of their own.
Welcome Credo, welcome Red Bull Vodka, it's well good to see you both.
Heard about the giant sloth? It used to be way like everywhere kind of. It used to live, I think, around the same time as the saber-toothed tiger, so it should be like at least contemporary to humans, I think. I might be wrong on this one though. And it was in a period where mammals used to be way larger, and Sequoia, being this large landmass devoid of other hunters, is the perfect place for these animals to still be alive. And adding to that, it also has developed a sort of bioluminescence because of the absence of light in many of these places, as is common with the second ring, or at least natural light as we intended. So bioluminescence means that its eyes are sort of like some kind of like light bulbs that are not only used to see things, but also to reflect light. Then we have the silverfouts. These are a species in between.
Just want to say as well, my webcam has stopped again. I'll just let it play. My webcam. Then something's going on with my computer. I need to replace my computer pretty soon, I think. But it's all good.
Felines and canines. In fact, it's hypothesized that they were the result of crossbreeding between saber-toothed tigers, which by the way is an ancient type of tiger that used to coexist with humans thousands of years ago, and dire wolves, which are huge wolves, the biggest ones to ever live. These dire wolves and saber-toothed tigers, while are not really able to breed in still lands inside of the ice walls, were able to create a mishmash of themselves in Sequoia. These creatures, the silverfouts, are huge. They have said to have multiple limbs added compared to the ones that saber-toothed tigers or dire wolves had, and are extremely dangerous. They have the same kind of bioluminescence from the eyes that the giant sloths have, and are a natural-born predator. I assume, and I'm not sure, but I assume that they would...
Yep, it is going to snow. It's coming out. I put an article, I'll drop it in the Telegram group, but yeah, it's going to snow in a few days apparently. Most of the UK. It's laughable, isn't it?
It's an invasive species. In fact, it's not original of Sequoia. Although we don't know exactly where it came from, we do know that it's not native to the land of Sequoia. It is a species of supermassive types of fir trees, the largest to ever exist. In fact, they can be the size of small hills. So imagine a tree you can see and it's a small hill. That's how big these are. And you would say, well, sequoias are about that large. But the fir trees of Sequoia are larger than the actual sequoias inside the ice walls. Hence the name Sequoia, to mean even bigger than the ones inside the ice walls. Also, the Forest of Giants is not meant to be understood as the forest of human-like giants, instead giants referring to these kind of species.
Rachel, you got promotion.
And the theme of places and creatures and things and plants being huge will be seen even further, especially in the second area we'll be talking about. finally, we have one more species that we can talk about in Sequoia. These are the hollow folk. So this was one of the most interesting but also like kind of creepy things I learned about Sequoia. Since there isn't like a lot of consensus on what actually exists here, there are some theories that popped up and we will see some of them, but let's start talking about the hollow folk first. So the hollow folk can be considered a type of parasitic animal that lives in semi-symbiosis with the trees in Sequoia. So I would assume that the area of fears we mentioned earlier are the trees these kind of creatures attach themselves to. Their body is like a moss-like surface with holes in it, kind of similar to Swiss cheese. Despite not requiring natural substance, since they lack a digestive system, and not being rooted in their trees, they still hibernate on them for long periods of times. These creatures are very rare and very difficult to see, and the size of them kind of changes depending on the tree they rely on. So as I mentioned, there will be normal trees which will make these things look mainly like moss patches, and then there will be the literal aerospheres, which will make these hollow folk look huge. They will be looking like a whole tree of themselves, just made of this moss-like substance, but you know, like with holes in it, so it doesn't like look exactly like moss. But here is where the conspiracy theory part starts. Some attribute intelligence to these organisms, but the same argument can kind of be made about like plants and like trees and stuff. I've heard a lot of people saying that like plants and trees have some sort of like intelligence of their own and that they communicate with each other and they like have a language of their own. Have you ever like tried connecting a plant or like a tree, even like a mushroom, with like those sorts of like sound wave kind of things, and they can like make their own frequency and their own music? It's like crazy, okay? But like I think it's like the same kind of thing when it comes to the hollow folk of Sequoia. I don't think these are like literal, you know, intelligent beings. After all, they are like squished on trees. I don't think that will do much with intelligence. But it's interesting that some people propose that this is like one intelligent species living on Sequoia. I mean, I guess the animals can be somewhat intelligent, but we're like talking like human levels of intelligence, which to me sounds a bit crazy. But I've heard a lot of people like genuinely say that like moss is intelligent. I've literally listened to videos talking.
I actually had somebody, I'm just watching the chat, see if my webcam works. Yeah, it's working great, there we go. We got some sunshine on the south coast, it's amazing. I was just talking earlier about how they always give us, like, we noticed, like all weekend it's been raining here, everywhere's flooded at the marina, like look, puddles everywhere. And they always give us, like in the late afternoon, they'll stop. And the clouds will break up and you get a bit of blue sky to end the day. And it's just like, I don't know, it's cycle. It's like the weather, this constant cloud cover, it really brings your mood down a lot. And it's a multi-delivery platform system, the weather at the moment. It covers so many things: crops, farming, foods. Later this year, we'll all see in the supermarkets, the prices will be even more expensive. It also delivers nano into the body, it's pretty obvious. There's also some metals, diseases, what else? Blocks out the sun, less vitamin D. It does so. It's a multi-delivery platform system. This nano, the weather at the moment, it's really evil, and like, even the people involved in doing it, there must be people. It's not all AI. Maybe a lot of it is drones as well. Somebody was saying that if you watch Flight Tracker now, the planes don't actually show up on Flight Tracker; they are spraying, which is interesting. And yeah, it's super cold as well. Red Bull vodka. I'm on the boat and I've got the heat. I've had a heater on all weekend. It's nearly May, and it's like, when the sun comes out, appreciate it. That's what I've learned. I was sunbathing earlier, and it's very important. Like, imagine life without the sun. It would be awful. It'd be, yeah, OGB, we had sun for 40 minutes, and you get like a 2-hour window or a 40-minute window, and it really messes with your mood and your consciousness, but it does mess with your mood, the way you think. Welcome, Marty Miko, and also, Marty, I've dropped on your comment in the last video. I've dropped a Telegram group. I've actually uploaded some music, this music and the other track previously. No, not that one, a different one actually. But there's some music in my Telegram group. You can all download it, so you've got your own little EKoM mixes. It is quite good music actually. So yeah, but it's like it's sunny now. I'm working on the boat now, but yeah, I've got the paint off one side of the boat. I am going to be starting another channel soon as well, but I don't want to be linked to this one because this Antarctica guy that I've been showing you his channel, it's amazing. Like, he had maybe 4 months ago, 5 months ago, he had 16,000 subs. He's got 53,000 subs now, and that's great. Good on him. But this channel is marked, this channel, and the growth rate of it is just so slow, you know. And it's I'll keep it, but the next channel I'll do, I want it to be separate, if you know what I mean. Hardman, welcome also. 33-minute intervals. Hardman in the chat says it was raining 33-minute intervals last week. It's just pathetic, isn't it? Hopeless, welcome also. Yeah, it's nuts. Right, back to the show, okay? Back to the show. Pardon me. My mouth is getting dry then. Oh, let's play this other clip again, yeah. I do like this clip. My daddy was a tool maker.
My dad was a tool maker. My dad was a tool maker.
He was skilled as a tool maker, highly skilled.
And your dad, I think it's right to say, was a tool maker.
He was a tool maker, yeah. Dad was a tool maker. My dad was a tool maker.
And he was a tool maker. He was a skilled man. And it's hard work, it's skilled work.
My dad, he was a tool maker.
My dad was a tool maker. My dad was a tool maker.
It's showtime.
About how mushrooms are basically the closest thing to humans than anything else in the natural world, which is interesting, but also, is that real? Well, let me know, guys. If any of you support these kind of theories regarding mushrooms and trees, and in this case the holofolk, well, let me know in the comments. But with that said, we're kind of done when it comes to Sequoia. These were the main things that I wanted to mention about. As you can see, the geography of this place isn't very large. It's all...
You know what, guys? Actually, I've got some news. Got some hot news just in. Right, so I'm just trying to decide when to go away with the boat, right? And this is quite a big dilemma for me, because it's when do I go away again? And I'm changing the gearbox at the moment. This boat's on its third engine, because do you know what? Let me sort my seat out. I'm working on the boat at the moment, and my seat's lower, and it's bothering me. Let me come back in 1 second. It's annoying me.
The reasoning behind what the Titanic Forest is absolutely crazy. So first of all, let's answer that question. What exactly is the Titanic Forest? So
that's a bit better, isn't it? So yeah, so my dilemma has been for a while, and I've been procrastinating a lot. So I'm taking the paint off the boat at the moment. It looks beautiful. It's gonna look amazing, honestly. Yeah, I just got triggered by something actually. Where is it? Oh, I'll do it in a minute. But yeah, so I'm trying to decide when to go away. I want to change a lot on this boat, because the carpentry on this boat isn't up to my standard. It's all weirdly designed and stuff, and I want to make it more comfortable. I'm sure my mic isn't as loud as it should be. Computer problems at the moment. But so the news is I'm going to leave again in the summer. I'm going to go into the Med, and I've got lots of projects starting. I've got a new channel that's going to be, I'm going to start it probably in a week or two. I don't want to tell you what I'm doing with that, because I want it separate. But yeah, so you'll watch the boat being repaired, and then as soon as I start the trip, because the trip itself, I want to go to sort of Turkey and Egypt, then the trip's going to take like, you could do it really 2, 3, 4 months. 2 months is kind of going it quick, or I can put the engine on and just blast it, and I'm going to do that. So it's probably going to take 2 or 3 weeks of me just putting the engine on. It's a brand new engine as well, so I'm really lucky. And just blasting it. So I need somebody to come. I need 1 or 2 people to come with me for the trip. 2 or 3 weeks. It's going to be 2 or 3 weeks going through the Med, probably like end of August, September time. So the weather's going to be really nice. We will stop at a couple of places. Probably Gibraltar to meet Mark Bajewski. There's going to be an episode this Friday with me and him. I did a deep dive interview with him. It was quite good actually. So that's going to be on Friday, 7 o'clock. And we'll meet Mark Bajewski in Gibraltar, really selling it on it, and probably stop in Sicily and maybe Ibiza. I'm not sure. I might stop at Ibiza. I'll be tempted to. So yeah. Anyway, so get in touch with me if you do want to come with me on a 2-3 week holiday sailing into the Mediterranean. It's going to be a really good trip. You don't have to come for all of the trip either. I could drop you off somewhere. So yeah, let me know anyway. And do give the show a like, guys, and a share if you can. Yeah, and I'll keep you posted on the new channel. And on that note, back to the show.
As you can see by the map, there are these places that kind of use themselves as borders for the world, and although it's not known where they end, we can kind of expect them to end at a certain point. And as we mentioned the scorched wastes and seen that sometimes there are like inhabited places in them, like the city of 1,000 pillars, Iram, and we've talked about Asgard, which of course, you know, Walls of Asgard, Valhalla, Hyperborean Gardenwood, very much inhabited places. We can see that sometimes these are places that can still be inhabited by intelligent creatures or even non-intelligent life. But what we mainly understand from this is that these places are insanely large. Well, they compare themselves to the regions of the world inside of the ice walls, and as you can see, there's literally more to learn about in the eastern half of this map. And this is no exception for the Titanic Forest. In fact, although I would say it's probably one of the smaller ones in terms of size in the map, I would still see this is like huge, because the Titanic Forest alone is like half of the land inside of the ice walls. So you'll see the Pacific Ocean and then you'll see the Titanic Forest, and there's a good chance that the Titanic Forest spreads for more land than the entirety of the Pacific Ocean. So, you know, that is insane by itself. But let's answer the second question now, and answer what exactly are these like little dots you can see on the map. Well, those are not like put there for texture or anything and for aesthetic. No, those actually represent something. So you see every one of these dots. I'm gonna like go closer here in case you don't see them. Well, those are the stone pillars that resemble trees, roughly the size of mountains. So each of these stone pillars,
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
and this entire area, the Titanic Forest, was made in this way at the start of creation. It's the oldest type of plant-based biome in existence. And this Titanic Forest made me go on a rabbit hole that is all about this theory about plants and mountains being connected, more specifically tree stumps and mountains. So in case you don't know about this, and I'll be trying to explain this as best I can, as
What
far
would
as
your inner Stephen be telling you?
theory going around that explains that basically mountains as we see them even inside of the ice walls are not actually like just a rock. It's not just rock, and rock itself is not just meant to be rock. It's not meant to be some lifeless thing that it just exists like metal. In fact, rock, as in like dirt, earth, and that kind of stuff that makes mountains, is supposed to be basically the fossilized remains of larger trees that used to exist. The main point of this theory is that tree stumps and mountains seen from above look very, very similar, especially in the cases of some specific mountains. So there's people that believe that all mountains are basically tree stumps, and some people that believe that some specific mountains are tree stumps. And some famous mountains like these can be. But basically what we see in the Titanic Forest is that but times 1,000, okay? So you can see that all these mountains literally are stone pillars that resemble trees. This is because all of these used to be actual trees the size of whole mountains, in some cases even bigger than any mountain on Earth, like more than the Everest, okay? And that is in like height. I'm not sure what the largest mountain in base is, honestly, but you can like let me know in the comments. And this entire area is filled with these pillars. And these pillars used to be plants, so they used to be alive, and they used to be alive at the start of creation. This is the equivalent of Eden, folks. It's the equivalent of the first garden ever existed. But as...
Just want to talk a little bit about the weather, just to continue that chat about the weather, okay? Because, where are we here? Yeah, right. So, I recorded this when I was working. This is me working. This is what we live with now. This greyness. There's one of Napoleon's forts, apparently built in the time of Napoleon, horse and buggy and all that crap. Yeah, right. There's actually another one here, distance, and there's another one here. It's actually four of them. Yeah. There's a private hotel on this one. It's about 200-300 quid a night to stay on that. How did they build them back in that time, that period of time? It just sucks, the weather down here, man. It's like, it sucks so bad. I'm going to comment on some of the things in the chat as well in a minute. This is 4 hours after the first video. Ridiculous. Private hotel. It's interesting, isn't it? Those Napoleonic, those bastion forts, there's 4 or 6 of them, I think, in the Solent, right? It's really interesting because these forts are like, they say they were built at the time of Napoleon. Don't know how. I don't know how, honestly, with horse and buggy. It's just such a bullshit story, honestly. Absolute bullshit story. Where's Arnold? Where's Arnold? Where's Arnold? I need Arnold. But yeah, I mean, this story, I'm just laughing. Oh, my jingles. There we go. Yeah, I mean, the story of all these old stories. Do you know what I was thinking about? I was thinking the story of Moby Dick and Pinocchio. And not so much Pinocchio, but the story of Moby Dick. And how these stories put us off thinking outside the box about sea monsters, and about, because that Moby Dick story takes up all of the imagination in your brain, and it doesn't let it go onto the sea monster story, if you know what I mean. It's very interesting. Like a lot of the history, a lot of the old stories, Hansel and Gretel is another one. Hansel and Gretel puts you off witches, doesn't it? I thought that was very interesting, and it was getting me thinking about old like story time, and how I think these ruling elites made up all this stuff, made them up. So much of our history is a lie, agreed upon. It's so true, and it's yeah.
Come on, don't bullshit me. Bullshit. 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 You said so. It's all bullshit.
Yeah. Also, Area Trans, Dragon Sage, welcome. Lucia, is it Lucia? Lucia P. Correct. I'm not spelling your name right. Saying your name right. Yeah, the weather sucks. But anybody that does want to come on the trip, I'm serious. I need like at least 2 people, or at least one other person, or 2, and we'll be doing like shifts. We'll be sailing through the night, and we'll be going for it with a few stops along the way. So if you are serious about coming with me, then do send me a message. I'll put my email in the chat right now. And yeah, somebody else said something as well. Alphabet Cat, welcome also. Yeah. Anyway, we continue. It's EKoM Sunday. How about that?
Basically, the first sin happened, and the volcanoes and the destruction of the original biome of Earth happened. These pillars which used to be trees, became stone. And just like what the theory says about the mountains on Earth, their stumps are now what remains, and they are stumps of pillars. So this entire area is basically devoid of life nowadays. And I think that's honestly terrifying. Like imagine like endless plain just filled with these huge pillars that used to be alive, and now they're just rock. They're just stone. And other theories hypothesized that these were not like actual mountains, instead it used to be a plain, and the areas between the mountains, the valleys, were made from some sort of giant being that walked the land, and with each step used to create these valleys. And these kind of remind me of like those old stories about like the creation of the world that I would hear as a child, and I know a lot of you can relate to like these like creation myth kind of things, so it's just a little interesting tidbit to add. So the entirety of the Titanic Forest is made by this, and it's basically at the edge of the not even known universe. So like, how crazy is that? Or well, not universe, like Earth, you know, that kind of thing. But with that in mind, we can just start moving to the next topic. I'm glad we managed to cover both Sequoia and the Titanic Forest, because the next place is completely different. But before we go there, we'll go on a second mission, because in the terminal ocean that extends from Sequoia to the Titanic Forest and all the way here, we have a place that once again is more natural related that I want to talk about before we get more into the more like human kind of things. So the last place of like this nature arc is the Yakuruna. Yakuruna. I was like trying to say that right. So the Yakuruna Sea Forest. So first of all, let's zoom in the Yakuruna Forest. As you can see, this kind of like creation is different from what we've seen. Usually the continents look like these, and the change in colors is not random. In fact, this green thing you can see like beyond like the not beyond, just like under these land masses, and not really, and the same thing with the sea, is not random. As I said, it's actually something that has to do with the so-called thalassoflora, meaning plant-based life in the ocean. So as many of you might already know, plants don't really like grow in the ocean, and the only exception being algae. And the problem with algae is that they're not really accepted like univocally as plants. Many controversially think that they're like a separate being that is considered a protist, and this protist is, although plant-like, it is not a plant of itself. That means that basically inside of the ice walls, in the oceans and seas of our world, there is basically no real plant that grows inside of the water and just exists inside of the water doing the like photosynthesis, okay? But it is exactly for this reason that the Yakuruna Forest is special, or rather, as I said before, the sea forest. So the Yakuruna Sea Forest is special because
the winning candidates do not have to be. Let me just stop the video. The winning candidates do not have to be on the YouTube. If they want, they can film it. But I will do some live streams and stuff. Vivarium Snake, welcome, brother. Good to see you. It's a trip of a lifetime, man. Honestly, it's going to be 2-3 weeks sailing with the engine as well, bombing it through the Med and stopping at a few places as well. So yeah, it's going to be good. It's going to be good. Email address is in the chat if anybody's interested. Yeah.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
From the outside, but when you go inside of them, there are terrestrial plants that have adapted to the underwater environment, growing in marine salt waters and creating underwater shrublands as well as sunken forests with trees whose canopies pierce the water surface, hence the green color on the map. As you can see, this is already very interesting, but there's more than I can add, and this is like my own theory more than like actual information that I found. And this is that honestly, if plants manage to adapt underwater, there's a good chance that the water is breathable because of the oxygen being released. Or rather, if it's not breathable, it's something completely different from water and air. Because through photosynthesis, as you know, the plants absorb the CO2 and create oxygen. And this oxygen is the thing that allows all humans to, breathe, and all animals. And, the cycle goes on and on. The thing is, if plants manage to adapt underwater and release this oxygen, how the hell does the oxygen just make the water water? Wouldn't the oxygen, because of chemistry, add itself to the molecule already that exists that makes water? And wouldn't that add another O to the O2? I'm not sure, honestly, but whatever it is, this is not exactly what we would see. I don't think it would be just water with plants inside. I think it would be something completely different, which could be either completely breathable by humans, which would create this entirely different kind of substance that we can't even know about, or it would be something not breathable that is neither water or air. And if that's the case, I don't want to get into it. I really don't want to drown myself into nothing, okay? So I think that's very interesting, the Yakuruna Sea Forest. But now let's get to the most interesting part of this episode.
I've also had a guy contact me from Twitter that's actually really serious about going to Antarctica. Very serious about it. I'm emailing him at the moment as well. Listen, I mean, really, right, honestly, since I bought the boat 3 years ago, such a good time to buy a boat, because the same money now, I'll get about half the size, because they've gone up so much in price. But, yeah, it's funny. Wait a sec. Having a boat and like my intuition, I do think about going to Antarctica quite a lot, and I think it would be super cool. But I think the way to do it is with a load of people. I think the way to do it is with a fleet of like at least 6 ships, 6 to 12 ships. Maybe even 24 ships, something like that, and then the authorities can't do it. It's what do they say? Something in numbers. When you got numbers, they can't touch you. So it's about that. If you go on your own, like those never remember his name. Never remember this guy's name. The ship was called the Berserker. The guys from Norway. They went, and they went twice actually to Antarctica, and both times the Kiwi Navy, the New Zealand Navy just went for them. They killed them as well. The New Zealand Navy, 2 of them were on quad bikes. They took 2 quad bikes strapped on top of their yacht to Antarctica. 2 of them were going to the South Pole, 3 of them were on the yacht. The New Zealand Navy ushered them out of the bay into a storm. The yacht got capsized, and their life raft was found somewhere with no people in it. So that's what happened to them. And if you're in numbers, that might not happen. So yeah, this is the problem. The military are there to keep us in check. That private security companies, Blackwater, go around the world starting these conflicts and start little just poking the bear and stuff like that. In Nord Stream, it's a prime example of it. That was a private security firm that went down there, British and American, ex-marine divers probably, and they blew it up, and they antagonize countries like this, and then they problem reaction solution. They come in and do it right. We're going to finish up anyway, because I want to watch David Clues after. So yeah, it's very interesting, but I'm deadly serious about the trip, and anybody wants to come with me, an airship and a sub, do you know what, an airship would be so cool. I'm actually looking at putting some free energy stuff on the boat as well. It's going to be very interesting. It'll be a cool trip, man. It'll be cool. So, right, we're finishing up now.
Are for this naturalistic, more nature-derived vibe. In fact, if we go just up the Yakuruna forest, we find another continent in the terminal ocean, this being Oracula, the land of prophets. So already these kind of titles that they're given in this map can give us like a hint of what this is about.
My dad was a toolmaker.
But
my dad was a toolmaker.
He was skilled as a toolmaker, highly skilled.
And your dad, I think it's right to say, was a toolmaker.
He was a toolmaker, yeah. Dad was a toolmaker. My dad was a toolmaker.
And he was a toolmaker. He was a skilled man. And it's hard work, it's skilled work.
My dad, he was a toolmaker.
My dad was a toolmaker. My dad was a toolmaker.
My daddy was a toolmaker. Tavistock Institute, straight out of Tavistock, I bet you, to get the Red Wall voters. My daddy was a toolmaker. What's scary is he's going to be the next Prime Minister in a few months.
while you actually like learn more about it, it gets deeper and more interesting. So as we said, this is a continent located in the center of the terminal ocean, which by the way, I'm not really sure why it's called the terminal ocean, maybe because terminal and like termine means like the end in Latin, so it's like the end of the world, therefore it's the terminal ocean, might be because of this. This continent has a varied and diverse geography. As you can see, we can see mountains in the middle, then we can see lakes, we can see shrublands, we can see plains, we can see arid regions, deserts even probably up here, and then you can even see that it kind of just goes.
Welcome India, good to see you in the chat.
That we talked about with the Yakuruna Sea Forest, so it's linked, okay, it's not random. It's a very interesting shaped continent too. I think if you like put it upside down, it looks kind of like the devil's face, which is even crazier, and if anybody of you guys know more about that, then let me know in the comments, because that's crazy for me, but I'll just ignore the obviously devil shaped head on the reverse, because it can be a coincidence. There's a lot of islands in our area inside the ice walls that look weird when they're seen from above. But so avoiding that, the interesting part of this continent is not much its geography, as even if it is kind of interesting. What unites this landmass is not its physical properties, instead it's the psychic powers that are awakened once one steps foot on the continent of Oracula. So, for some unknown reason, possibly related to the higher dimensions of the self, Oracula has a bizarre psychic effect on those that arrive.
You know what, guys?
All conscious.
I actually made a mistake. This isn't actually the video that I wanted to play you. I must have downloaded two of his videos. The video I wanted to play you it's a bit more in depth, and it talks about Nostradamus. Nostradamus actually confirms a lot of these places outside of our world. It's weird, but it's actually the wrong video. So yeah, but it's an introduction. Maybe I'll do the next show on that. But we've got Mark Pajerski this Friday, 7 o'clock.
Minds present on the landmass frequently experience visions of the future, as if they were turned into oracles. There is no stable population on the island, but many have seen traces of it during psychedelic trips or prophetic premonitions. That by itself is like a lot. The fact that this landmass is not just some place that has geographical effects, that some life form on it has something to do, but no. It's the landmass itself, its geography, its location that kind of possesses people in some sort of like divinating power that manages to predict the future, or at least makes prophecies of the future. And the thing is that people have seen these kind of landmasses in prophecies. For example, the famous astrologist, usually known for his prophecies, Nostradamus, also known as Michael de Nostradam, is thought to have gone missing after his stay in France in the 1550s, since there is little to no sources that can realize his position.
Right, I'm mistaken. It's the correct video. Just now he starts talking about Nostradamus. Yeah, there we go. How about that?
In between the 1550s and the 1566, his date of death. So, you already probably know about Nostradamus. In case you don't know, it was this guy in France that used to basically create these like little poems with usually like 4 lines, and these poems, when interpreted during history, would like bring to the conclusions of like important historical events, or would like reveal information that was unknown, and like prophesize about things and like predict future events, sometimes more specific, sometimes less specific, usually less specific, which is why a lot of people don't really believe in Nostradamus' like theories, but there's plenty of people that do believe him, and historically there have been like references to him in like right after historical events. I think the Second World War was mentioned. I think the Spanish War of Succession, maybe, is that the case? There was like a Spanish war somewhere there. But anyways, yeah, Nostradamus is very well known, and basically he went away. Like, there are not really many sources. Like, we know he was, it's like some people say that he was in Turin for a certain people of his life, which is a city in Italy, but there is no real proof that like he went in Turin. There are some like parts of it which might allude to it, and we don't really know how much his stay there would have been. So there is like this large period of his life where he was producing these prophecies, and we don't really know where he was. So what if he went missing because he traveled all the way to Oracula. So before you say that's crazy, let's take about the facts for a second. It is known that in those times, at the start of the Age of Exploration, which is around the like end of the 1400s, start of the 1500s, all the way into the 1600s, it was kind of not uncommon for wealthy Europeans to attempt a voyage into the unknown, and many through this arrived to the New World. So what if through an extreme water current? So let's just see it like physically, okay? So this is the second ring. Let's go all the way back to what possibly could be France or Italy, okay? So what if an extreme water current, you might have went like here, right? Instead, no, it doesn't go into the New World. It goes all the way through the Arctic, probably in the summer, or maybe it just goes all the way around Africa and it enters the first ring. And we know water currents are extremely strong in these areas, especially the ones not right here, because of course all the Xenonesia islands could have probably made it very difficult for them to actually not land on these. But there was one area here which you can like travel into and then end up in the second ring. Well, it's kind of like this area here, the Niflheim. So let's say he went into the Leviathan's Gate after passing after Africa, and these extreme water currents that circumnavigate all these islands here managed to bring him all the way here. Then the islands would like basically the boats would basically make him island hop all the way into these lands, which may have made him mad with all these prosaic visions, and finally he would arrive after a long voyage into Oracula. Also remember that these oceans don't really work as like in ice wall oceans. They have extreme currents which would work as like 1,000 motors. So arriving from like here to here is not insane in terms of time than it is more like here from here, for an example, okay? As far as I understand, at least as the map kind of presents itself. So let's say he arrived to Oracula, and let's say that after arriving to Oracula, he basically arrived all the way into the second ring beyond these walls and augmented his oracle position, his prophetic abilities. And arriving on Oracula, as I said, the conscious minds managed to augment their psychic effects and their basically power to see in the future, and then somehow went all the way back to France or Italy, where he died. Or maybe he didn't even manage to get there. Somewhere he managed to get the information back home and he died somewhere else. We don't know. We don't have the idea of that. But if that's the case, then it would explain a case of this Oracula continent doing kind of its magic, you know, doing its properties on a very known historical figure. At least this is kind of like where I went to when I saw this continent. But let me know if you have any more theories about this. I also wanted to go in the more like religious kind of version of this, but I wasn't sure honestly if it was the case to do that, especially because prophets in the more religious sense always have been a bit more revered, and I don't want to name them wrongly or something like that by talking about them in the context of Oracula, which seems to be more about like the psychic effects on the mind more than it is to religious properties, as we've seen instead with other places beyond the second ring. Finally, we get to the last place of today, and that is Asclepia, the living hospital. So unfortunately I couldn't find much information on Asclepia, though I have found something, which is more mainly because of my previous knowledge. I assume it has to do with Asclepius. Asclepius is the ancient Greek god of medicine, which is the son of Arsinoe and Apollo, which is another god of curing and inflicting diseases. This could mean that this place is somewhere where magically diseases are kind of taken away. And when I say magically, I don't really mean magically, but all of you know very well that there are places inside of the ice walls as well where you can go and you can like feel better. There's these like retreats, these like pilgrimages, and there's this like even like all those places that have to do with like natural water sources, like hot water sources. And all those places tend to have like these kind of anti-illness abilities, and I don't think it's insane for like a whole continent to have these kind of abilities, especially outside of the ice walls where everything gets crazier. So I think that's kind of where we're going with Asclepia, the living hospital.
And that wraps that video up. It was kind of long-winded in the end. So yeah, no, definitely, I'm looking forward to the trip, to be honest. And then I'm going to spend all winter in the Med, working on the boat, starting a new business. I'm going to be starting a health sort of parasite detox business, sailing around really rural. Let me put some music on. So I forgot to do. Sailing around the Med, collecting like the best ingredients, like the oregano in. I've got some there. The oregano in from Turkey, from the bazaar, straight from the farmer. It smells like 10 times stronger than the stuff you get in the supermarket. There's nothing super about the supermarket. The olive oil, the honey, and sailing around these places, go to Morocco, to Egypt, to Tunisia. I might even end up going down the Suez Canal next year, going into the Indian Ocean. Maybe going to go down to see India, maybe go see Katie if you're watching. Hello. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting, and I do scuba diving as well, so we're going to have a drone with us, and whoever does sail with us will be going up the crow's nest to spot for Navy ships en route. So yeah, so that's the plan. August, September, I reckon. It's going to be very interesting. You don't have to Red Bull vodka. Don't worry if you've not been on a boat before. If you're not, it depends how you're on the water. Yeah, it won't be that rough anyway because it's sort of summer sailing. So yeah, it'll be good. But it'll be a really good trip. And I'd much rather go with some friends than get random people from Facebook, because I don't want to sail with an NPC. Don't want to do it. So I want to play this clip actually. Just like this world we live in, like Free Guy, the movie, and you sometimes walk around thinking, like, you know, when you talk to people and they're just like not with it, or they're not like, it's really funny, it makes me laugh. And do you ever like walk around thinking like you're in a Free Guy, you are in some sort of simulation, and people you talk to are just like robots? So, but the really advanced robots, some of them, it's nuts. I thought it was quite interesting. So yeah, right, finishing up. That's it. A message to the World Economic Forum. I was watching one of their videos today, and it's rebuilding trust and all this stuff. I think the game's up with them, honestly.
Sneaky little hobbitses.
Yeah, they fucking are. They are. Right, so that's it. I'm going to sign off and say ciao for now. David Clues is on right now on Rumble and D-Live. I'm going to go watch them. It's their anniversary show tonight. So ciao for now.
And I'm Jimmy Savile, mate. I wrote to Jimmy Savile when I was a kid. I asked him to fix it for me, but he never did. Kinda glad I never got that girl.
Stop thinking too much. Don't go into the past. Don't go into the future. Be in the present. Why? Because only then it's possible that the mind is free, the capacity is free, and now you can completely immerse into whatever you are doing.
Just one more thing. This clip was really interesting, but I messed it up because there was music. This clip has music, but I want to put this as a final clip, okay? It really explains what I was talking about with the weather earlier, okay? Check it out. Let me just sort of...
People don't realize is that your consciousness is governed by light. Light comes in through your eyes and hits your pineal gland. You have to have that. And you have to have it. And the pineal gland is the center of consciousness. It's the center of the soul, Descartes said. Okay? And so light, the color of light, changes your consciousness. And if the sun is changing, then it's possible that our consciousness is changing. It could be that the changing nature of the sun over the last 20 years is what's causing the Great Awakening that's happening. And they know that the Great Awakening is happening. Previous to our other conversation about archons, what if the archons realized that the changing nature of the sun was going to wake people up and they're going to find out about them? What do? That's what they do. They spray the skies. Everywhere. I have a friend who just was traveling through Europe last week, 2 weeks straight in Europe. I go to Europe all the time. I used to never see chemtrails in Europe. He said the skies were filled with them. I have a friend who lives in South Africa, Michael Tellinger. Same thing. He tells me the skies are filled with chemtrails now. It used to just be the United States, he said.
There's no clear days anymore.
There's no clear days anymore. And they've upped it. I don't know if you've noticed, but they've upped it. It's now much more spraying than there used to be, say, 3 years ago. Right. And the spraying is different. They've really gotten sophisticated. This is something.
That's what I mean. It's serious. It's the multi-delivery platform system. Right, I am signing out. I need a jingle. Oh, yeah, this one will do. Ciao. With a. Right, yeah. Ciao for now. I thought my mic wasn't on. Ciao for now. It's been great watching. Oh yeah, this will do. Here we go. Ciao for now. Love you all.
Yaga yaga yo, yaga yaga yo, yaga 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 yo, yaga yaga yo, yaga yaga yo, yaga 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 yo. I'm in love with you. I'm in love with you. Yaga yaga yo, yaga yaga yo, yaga 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 yo. I just can't deny, can't tell no lie. You're no one that I love, no one that I love. I can't stop loving you. I made up my mind to live in memories of your love sometime. I can't stop wanting you. It's useless to say. So I'll just live my life with dreams of yesterday. Come on, baby, give me no. Give me no. Woman, the way me love you, no time for sell you. I'm the man you can trust, no need for act so.
Get
I just can't do it.
We wear masks. Screw your freedom.
But we no live dirty life, so this no need mapping. Make bad mind keep on watching. Me nah give away me woman, I end up with nothing. Everybody needs somebody to give good loving. So make them talk, make them talk. You are the right queen for the king. I can't stop loving you. I made up my mind to live in memories of your love sometime. I can't stop wanting you. It's useless to say. So I'll just live my life with dreams of yesterday. Yes, I miss you, man. Yes, I miss you, man. You are the only thing me love next door to God. Yes, I miss you, man. Yes, I miss you, man. Anytime you walk out of me, like me feel sad. You are the greatest part of me happiness. Full attention, never give me nothing less. When you're not around, me body gather stress. Still I can't invite in another guest. I just can't ignore your kindness. Oh man, you are the finest. You treat me like a royal highness. So I can't stop loving you. I made up my mind to live in memories of your love sometime. I can't stop wanting you. It's useless to say. So I'll just live my life with dreams of yesterday.
Dad was a toolmaker. He was skilled as a toolmaker, highly skilled.
And your dad, I think it's right to say, was a toolmaker?
He was a toolmaker, yeah. Dad was a toolmaker. My dad was a toolmaker. And he was a toolmaker. He was a skilled man. And it's hard work, it's skilled work.
My dad, he was a toolmaker.
My dad was a toolmaker. My dad was a toolmaker.
My daddy was a toolmaker. Ciao for now. See you all later. Bye.